Welcome back, horror fans. Get ready to be spooked, because today we have something special in store for you. In this episode, we'll be diving into the chilling world of real-life horror with 3 bone-chilling stories that actually happened. From unexplained phenomena to encounters with the supernatural, these stories will send shivers down your spine. So grab your favorite blanket, turn off the lights, and prepare to be captivated by these true tales of terror. These stories are not for the faint of heart. Each one will leave you questioning the limits of reality and the unknown forces that lurk in the darkness. So buckle up and let's begin our journey into the realm of bone-chilling horror that will keep you at night. Are you ready to face the unexplained? Let's find out. Alright, let's get started with our first spine-chilling story. This one will make you question everything you thought you knew about the supernatural. Are you brave enough to handle the truth? Let's find out. The Creepy Farm. I found this story on yourghoststories.com and knew it was perfect for this video as soon as I saw the title. It was written by Angelus Crudis, who said, quote, "I've been reading stories on this site for months now and love the hair-raising creepiness of them all. 4 years ago, I moved in with my husband. He and I currently share a 100-acre property in West Quebec, Canada. The home is small and was originally a hunting shack before being expanded to become a lath and plaster house. It's almost 150 years old, with 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, as well as slanted ceilings. My husband bought the property from the man whose family lived there since it was settled back in the day. This man's father was an alcoholic, and we discovered hundreds of liquor bottles hidden throughout the property while cleaning up. The first unsettling event was the knock on the door. It was a loud knock 3 times, and my dog even barked, but no one was there when I got to the door. We are the only house on the street, and the next neighbor is at least a mile away. It's not like the kids were pulling a prank on us. My husband and I didn't say much about it since, and we don't like to draw attention to whoever lives here with us because we believe that if we leave it alone, it will do the same for us. The next thing happened in the barn when we were cleaning up the drunken old man's tools. There was a 4-foot wide saw blade used on vintage tractors, a 9-inch nail in the wall, and the saw blade was hanging on it through the hole in the middle. My husband was cleaning away some dirt underneath it when it dropped off the nail and hit him on the head. He was wearing leather gloves and was unharmed, though not seemed to be, because the nail was so long someone would have had to manually lift it away from the wall for it to fall as far as it did. Then, just the other week, I was cleaning the dishes and reached for the cupboard to put a plate away when it opened by itself. It was strange, like if someone wanted to help me with the dishes. I didn't tell my husband since it terrified me, but 3 minutes later he saw someone stroll past our window. Of course, no one was there when we got outside. It was quite unusual. Then, a few days later, the lights flickered on and off many times, but nothing was wrong when my husband went out to the beaker box. He even went through each switch, turned it off and then back on to double check. When he returned inside, the lights began to flicker again. It was simply the lights on one side of my house, but it was an odd feeling. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoy these horror stories before moving on to the next one. Make sure to click the bell icon to receive notifications when we upload the next video. The Figure. My story takes place in South Africa, where I live. My friend Baron and I were driving across the countryside on our way to a small town called Delray Vale. We grew up in small towns and rural locations, so we were accustomed to them, but I had never had anything like this before. While we were going, bad luck struck us like a hot iron, and both tires on the left side fell flat. His car was a wreck. At 2 a.m., we were on the side of the road with just a full moon to illuminate our way. There was no civilization nearby, only a few rural farmhouses. So I decided to leave Baron in charge of the car and go in search of access to a nearby farm. I walked for almost 2/3 of a mile before coming across a fence. The gate was short and easy to scale. Despite the fact that it was chained, I climbed over it out of desperation. I could see the light of the home in the distance and proceeded along a gravel path towards it. As I continued walking towards the house, I heard a huge boom. I initially believed it was cannon fire, but it couldn't be because there are no military bases in the area. I only heard it once and decided to ignore it. The skeptic would definitely have an answer, and while I'm not saying it was cannon fire, it might have been something else. It sounded like an old-style cannon. What could have made such a noise at 2 a.m.? Anyway, I kept going. The area was now a vast open space. For miles and miles, there was simply fields of grass and few trees. So approximately 2 meters from the gravel road's edge, there stood a large tree. It was around 2 a.m. and only the moonlight was shining, but something was standing beneath the tree. A dark figure stood, facing directly in front of me. I was terrified because it appeared to be a human form. I kept walking because I assumed there had been an explanation for whatever was standing there. It was gone when I looked behind me again. How could something so massive vanish so quickly? I quickly turned around and went back towards the main road. I told Baron, but he was never persuaded. Later, I discovered that there were clashes in that area during the Anglo-Boer War between local farmers and the British Army. The Seventh Barn. According to legend, there was a wealthy farmer who possessed a large amount of land in Ohio. Every time his wife had a child, he built a new barn on his land. He named the barns after his children, and by the time this narrative takes place, they had 6 children and were expecting a 7th. The farmer's wife, on the other hand, died during childbirth, as did her unborn child. The farmer went wild from grief and was unable to tend to his farm. The family ran out of money, and the farm began to fail. According to legend, one night, in the depths of his insanity and misery, the farmer took an axe and led his children out to the barns, where he murdered them one by one. He buried each of the bodies in the 6 barns named after them. The farmer then went to the 7th barn and hung himself. As the story goes, all of the barns were finally demolished and the land was sold, except for the 7th barn, because no one wanted to buy the property because of what happened there. It was abandoned and quickly fell into disrepair. If you go to that barn at night, they claim you can see the farmer spirit hanging from the rafters, his corpse swinging back and forth in the wind, pondering on his horrible act for all eternity. Nobody knew for certain where the 7th barn was, but it was definitely in Ohio. Some claimed it was at the Krantz farm in Cuyahoga Valley, while others claimed it was in the Northampton's top of the world. In 1997, a local Ohio teacher claimed that after extensive research, he had finally discovered the true location of the legendary 7th barn. He said that none of the barns had ever been demolished. The land had only recently been divided and sold, and the barns had been consumed into closest farms. These are the stories we have for you. What were your thoughts like as you were hearing them? Which of these gave you the chills? Please share your creepy farm stories in the comment section below. We would love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like, share and subscribe because you don't want to miss any updates from us since we have more to come.